Cahirlock.
Thank you, Deputy Matthews. Thank you, Mr. Moore. Deputy. Sorry. Okay, Deputy Smith.
Thank you, Cahirlock. I have 2 points to make, and I'd be interested in the thoughts on the panel. The first one's in relation to SMEs who have found it difficult to sustain tenancies with landlords during this pandemic. The majority of instances that I've come across over the last number of months have seen landlords engage with tenants to come to arrangements to see them through this crisis. But I'm aware of a number of incidents in my constituency where corporate landlords moved very, very quickly to turn the screw on SMEs, and one of whom has since had to end a tenancy and find new premises. So on top of trying to cope with the pressures of the pandemic, they now have costs associated with finding new premises and setting up. So what advice do you have to SMEs who have found themselves in that situation? What supports are there for them, because they're feeling pretty abandoned both by government and representative bodies at the moment? And secondly, in relation to boosting demand, I agree that needs to be done. There's a large cohort of the population who may be immunosuppressed or may be healthy but nervous, who are not ready to go out and engage in the local economy. This morning I went to get my hair cut. I went into a barber shop whereby every measure was put in place: temperature check on arrival, hand sanitisation, screens. One of the most decorated barbers in Ireland was off hair cutting for the day and was just continually sanitising the premises. It was a wonderful example of a business protecting its workers, protecting its customers, and protecting its future viability. Now, on another example, I heard in the last week of another business whereby an employee turned up with their own face mask to wear in work and were told by their employer not to wear it, that they weren't allowed to wear their own face mask. Now, the medical advice regarding face masks is beyond reproach now, and this is a worker who wanted to protect their customers, their fellow workers. Now, I, for one, if there's a fund going around, I want to make sure that businesses that are protecting their workers and their customers, such as the one I was in this morning, are going to be prioritised, and as opposed to businesses who are putting their own workers and their customers in danger. And I'd be interested in your thoughts on what advice you would give to the small minority of SMEs who may be acting in this way.
I might let Derek actually, and congratulations on the haircut. I didn't make it, and people are actually worried about the fact that there's another crisis coming because my hair is getting longer. I might let Derek take the landlord one, and I'll come back to the measures.
Yeah, so you'll note on page 21 of our plan, Deputy, that we call for the implementation of a measure to help small businesses reduce their overheads. This plan is based on a principle of solidarity, and that small businesses are vital to our social fabric. If we don't have a tool to help small businesses enshrined in legislation to reduce their rental costs at this time, it will only compound the losses and the fragility of small businesses. To be clear, at the moment there's very little there to help small businesses reduce their overhead costs, but landlords and institutional and otherwise need to play their part. Not just based on solidarity, but based on the reality that we are also advocating for an examinership light regime that will resolve this matter most likely in the favour of small businesses. So everybody has to play their part, and I'll hand over to John on the employment piece.
I think this is an opportunity to use these funds wisely in terms of firms, and I think it is only appropriate that if money from the taxpayer is being given to firms to actually help them through this crisis, that we do think about the right types of conditions that we would like to put on that. And we have seen in other jurisdictions that, for example, they've restricted the ability of firms to upstream that money to the owners of those businesses and do other stuff. I think we can also think about, rewarding them to actually to follow the type of things you measure, the measures you do about healthcare and stuff like that. And it's why each sector then, I suspect, in the next sort of set of conversations you need to have, needs to explain what measures work for them and what works badly for them. And we, again, as we said, that we're listening to SMEs. I mean, I don't know, Jane, do you have anything?
I would say as a whole, across my industry in retail, retailers have been very compliant in putting measures in place to ensure their customers feel safe and their employees feel safe. It's unfortunate to hear that about that business, but I will say, without the wage subsidy scheme, all of that cleaning and all of the protocol around ensuring you're giving a safe environment for people to shop wouldn't be possible, because businesses are currently trading between 30 and 50% down. They are not making money or making anything while their doors are open right now. While we're so delighted to get our doors open, it's a situation that without the support and the wage subsidy scheme, those businesses wouldn't be open at the moment. And one thing to note, businesses might be open, but once your doors got back open, that's when the landlord comes knocking for the rent, and that's when suppliers start looking to get paid. And John mentioned about confidence there. We deal with suppliers all over the world, and at the moment we're in negotiations paying all our suppliers, which we're lucky enough to be in a position to do. And some are providing discount, but the only country that has been consistently strong in not providing any discount, because they are actually